I love it. And we are live with Melanie Herschorn and Birdie the dog. And my dog is sleeping next to me. I'm not going to arouse him. So welcome everybody to the live real talk with Nina. And today we have Melanie Herschorn. She is a book marketing strategist. And I'm super excited to talk to you, Melanie, because I have so many questions and I have questions and questions. So this is going to be really cool.
Hey, I'm so
Um,
excited to be here, Nina. Thank you. And
of
apparently
course.
Marty was decided he's going to be part of this morning too. So
Absolutely. We're dog and cat and I don't know, a bird friendly. So whatever your pet is of choice, I always am very open to having it being brought along. So Melanie, why don't you introduce yourself quickly so we have context of what your background is and what you do and for whom?
absolutely. Thank you so much. So you can see right there, it says book marketing strategist, but what does that even mean? So I help nonfiction authors when they're writing the book or it's finished or they're about to publish or they have just published and they need to develop an online presence. So I help them create that online presence with their messaging, social media, email marketing, and all that fun stuff. They're lead magnets, which we should probably talk about in case people don't know what lead magnets are. Um,
Exactly.
and so I help them, establish themselves online so that they grow their authority and they really step into the thought leadership that they desire.
Yep. And how did you come to that point?
Well, it was not a straight line.
Never is. It's always a wiggly line, right?
It was very much like the hairpin turns you see in
Yeah.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
Um, well, I started in PR and then I moved into journalism. And then after I got laid off when I was 5 months pregnant from my career as a journalist, I decided to design and manufacture breastfeeding clothing. And so I did that for many years. And then I had the misfortune, or I guess you could say fortune, of hiring somebody pretty um, emotionally abusive to help me with my marketing.
Mhm.
And because of that, I closed that other business, but I learned so much about marketing and decided to make it my life's mission to help
Mhm.
entrepreneurs with their marketing so that
Yeah.
they would never feel like they couldn't do it.
Mhm.
And then coming into book marketing, it sort of came to me. Authors started coming to me, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is the perfect niche for me. So I can really focus on. It's often business owners who've written a nonfiction book and they want to leverage that book to grow their authority online. And so
Yeah.
that, and then the dog just jumped on my lap, and now we're here to this present moment.
Very comprehensive. I love that. And I did see that your clothing line, just to quickly go back to that, was called Utter. What was it called?
Utterly hot mama. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, that was a learning experience too, because it was a very polarizing name. And so
Yeah.
those who got the joke thought it was hilarious and loved it. And then there were people who would send me like hate mail. So I remember getting there, I got trolled a lot because of the name.
It's
And
interesting how people get ticked off by something like that. Yeah.
it's true. And you know what, though? It was such a great learning experience
Yeah.
because it really helped me understand how important messaging is.
Yes, yes, and how and I had a similar experience with my film. Yeah, yeah. When you there's just and sometimes it's just territory you don't even think you're treading into anything dangerous, right? How harmless is it to create clothing for nursing mothers, right? And then before you know it, you're in the hot seat. Yeah, yeah,
Right, exactly.
yeah.
And they always somehow get to me on my birthday. I don't know why that happens.
When is your birthday?
Yes, June 21st.
Okay.
Nobody email me that
Okay,
day.
I'll email. So you are on the cusp of Gemini to whatever comes after Cancer.
Cancer, yeah,
So
right
yeah.
on the cusp. Yep.
So you're right between my parents. My parents are a week apart. or I should say were. My father passed, but it's yeah, my mom's the Virgo and my the Gemini, sorry, and my father was the Cancer. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So I'm very familiar with both those signs if you're into that. But
I am.
that's not what we're here for. So so tell so what where so what I mean, I have so many questions for you. So I'm trying to like sort of be like well organized around them, but just hearing you talk right now, like there's questions bubbling up that were not planned until later, but I'm just going to go for it. So what is the biggest misconception about writing a nonfiction book that you come across when people probably with flailing arms finally find you?
Yeah, there is a lot of flailing.
Yeah,
The biggest misconception is that they think, remember that movie from the 80s with Kevin Costner, what is it, the baseball movie? If you build it, they will
yeah,
come.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Field of Dreams. That's it. Yeah, no, we are not living in Field of Dreams.
right.
If you can write a book, but it doesn't mean that everyone's going to know the minute you press send
Yeah,
or publish or whatever.
yeah.
So the biggest misconception is that people think that once they've done the book, that that's the hard part, and that they can just
Mm.
let it out into the universe, and the
Yeah,
universe will do its job.
yeah,
Yes, of course the universe has your back, but
yeah,
no, it's not going to let people know. So I liken it to, if you plan this amazing party, you get the venue and the food and the decor and your outfit, and then you don't send out invitations.
yeah, yeah. That's a great analogy. I love that.
Party of one.
Yeah, party of plus your mother, right?
Well, your mom. I don't know about my mom. Your mom's pretty awesome. You guys and your TV watching and stuff, but
Yeah, yeah. So and I can so relate to that. So in 2006 I started, or no, 7, 8, I started on a journey to do a featured documentary, and I put my entire budget into creating the documentary. So by the time I was finished 2 years later, I think I had like $1,000 left, and now it was time to distribute, and I had no clue. And I remember I was sitting in a actually sort of a documentary centric talk somewhere in Midtown Manhattan. It was some kind of festival, and they kept talking about the 50-50 budget. And I'm like, what the f is a 50-50 budget? So I turned to the person next to me. I said, where does the 50-50? And in my mind, being a producer, right, it's like, oh, 50 for pre-production, 50 for shooting, or 50 for pre-production shooting and 50 for editing, or whatever. And this guy turns to me and he says, well, 50 for the production, 50 for the distribution. And I'm like, oops, too late. And I cannot tell you how miserable, Melanie, I was for 2 years. I tried to get eyeballs on that film, and first of all, there was no you around. I mean, there were people around who helped with distribution of
Yeah,
features, but
right.
not independent, not the way mine was, right? And it was just and when I got a chance to shoot a second film, like they offered me a budget, I was still so shell shocked. I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm not doing another feature anymore. This is it.
So where is it now?
It's sitting on a website where you can straight buy it for $5. I think maybe if 10 people have bought it, including my friends and family, I might add. If 5 people bought it, that's it. And I had a couple of screenings. It did really well in educational. So I sold it to universities and schools and libraries. It did really well on that because it's about Muslim children in New York post 9/11.
So it's absolutely still
Oh, it's
valid.
still a very relevant and valid
Well,
film.
then we'll have to talk off screen about this because I have some ideas for you, my friend.
Okay, good. But just to say, the easy part, and I totally get that when you say that the easy part is writing the book.
And it doesn't seem like that. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm slogging through writing my book right now, and
yeah.
I'm like, oh, one more word. I don't know if I have another transition in me. But I know that
Yeah.
that's the easy part because, and another thing is that like while you're writing the book, if you can start building up your online presence while you're writing the book,
Yeah,
then
and
it's so
that's what
halfway
yeah.
there.
Yeah. I mean, we totally we were sort of, so we started shooting this in 2008 when everybody was going into the Lehman Brother collapse. And I considered myself really lucky because I had a budget to do and finish this film. So while everybody else was not eating, my crew and I, we were gainfully, I mean, it was very low pay, but we were gainfully employed, right? And then and social media was just emerging, so it wasn't a thing, so by the time we were done in 2000, I think I put the finishing touches on the film in the last months of 2009. By 2010 it was like, duh, yeah, where is my following, where is my right? But I just never did, right? I mean, today I would start with the following, I would start with the fans, I would start with the fans, friends, and followers. There was a book somebody wrote that was called that. That was a great book, and that's all it talked about. Is you need to have a supportive base, and if you have 10 or even 100 rabid fans, that'll carry you really, really, really far.
It's true because
Yeah,
it builds upon itself.
yeah, yeah,
It's that you might not go viral,
yeah.
but that's okay because I always say if you have an email list and you have 50 really great people, that's so much better than 5,000 who aren't even opening your emails.
Except and are not engaging. I totally, totally agree. Now, so what happens? So people come to you. I mean, ideally, you probably want them at what stage?
Ideally, the book it exists in a file
Yeah.
somewhere so that all the ideas are out there, and maybe even it's been edited so that when I read it I can really focus on the content and not
Oh, like,
you
whoops, whoops, whoops. Yeah,
the
exactly.
red Sharpie. No, I don't do that. I do it in my head, but I don't do it in real life. um, yeah, so the book exists. A lot of
Mhm.
times people say, okay, my book is coming out in 6 months, or I've written the book, I've got a book coach, we've worked through it, but I don't have a publisher yet.
Yeah.
And so it can be anywhere in the process. Even the book could have come out.
Mhm.
I do believe that even if your book came out a year ago, if it's an evergreen topic, why not start promoting it now?
Yeah.
One of the greatest tragedies is to have a box of your books with your name on it sitting in a closet collecting dust.
Yeah. My DVDs. I actually recycled most of them.
Well,
Yeah.
that's okay because people don't often have DVD players anymore.
Well, that was the other thing. I was on the cusp of also, right? It was sort of, yeah, and that was the, and I think that's probably also like right now. I think EPUB publishing is absolutely, um, a thing to do these days, and not considered the loser's route anymore. I think most
That's
people,
right. I love that you said the loser's route
yeah,
because a lot of people are still under this, well, I have to get a traditional publisher, and that's amazing. But I have to tell you, whether you have a traditional publisher, a hybrid publisher, or you go the self-publishing way, no matter what, you are still on your own for
hmm,
creating your online presence.
yep,
And every publisher will basically tell you that. They might say, well, we have a marketing something, but they
hmm.
don't spend the time on the marketing. That's not their zone. That's fine.
Which to me actually seems crazy that that is being separated, right? You would think that it goes hand in hand because it's in the publisher's interest to have the marketing and all that done, right?
They put a lot of they put the onus on the client, the writer, to
Yeah,
be the one to grow it. And I've talked with people who have gone the traditional publishing route. I've
yeah.
worked with people who have gone the traditional publishing route. And I
Mhm.
come in and I'm there to help them create that online presence because the publisher's like, well, you got to have people to buy the book. We're giving you in advance. We're expecting you in exchange to not just give us the book, but also give us the audience for your book.
Yeah, but then why use a publisher, right?
Well, some people
Mm,
really want to go that route. And I mean, you get paid in advance, right? I mean, if you
mhm.
go the other way, you're paying only, you don't get paid. So
Right, right. I mean, and then a publisher with a good name will obviously get your book out in places you can't.
yeah, and I mean, everybody who writes a book, well, not everybody, but most people who write a book really want to be in a bookstore. I would think.
Yeah, but I think like it's like with again equating it to filmmaking because that's what I know.
Sure.
Everybody wants to be in Sundance, or everybody wants to be in the Tribeca Film Festival, or everybody wants to be in the whatever.
Cannes or the Toronto International Film Festival.
Exactly,
Sure,
Toronto is a great one.
those are the big ones,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But there's only X amount of films who will make it there.
Yeah.
But and this is like a lesson I had not learned, and I applied to all the big festivals, for instance, when I had clearly a niche film on my hand, and with a marketing strategy and the help of somebody like you, I should have gone to films that dealt with, kids issues, women's issues, you know, religious tolerance, or anything in that world, and not Sundance, Tribeca. Yes, I did apply to Toronto, and you also pay a shit ton load of money to even apply to all of these. So
Yeah.
so having a strategy obviously is so I mean, shouldn't you start writing the book with an audience in mind and a marketing strategy in mind, or is that going a little too early?
A lot of people that work with book coaches, the book coaches will give them that suggestion. Exactly.
Okay.
Who
Yeah.
are you writing the book for? What kind of transformation do you want your reader to have?
Yeah.
And what's your goal
Yeah.
for the book in general? And so ideally, yeah, you have that in mind when you start writing, because otherwise it's just going to be a whole lot of like confusion. and then then it's hard to promote your book to anybody because you don't know who it's for.
Yeah.
But that said, sometimes you write a book and you think it's for one person, but you realize it's actually for somebody else, and that's okay. You can still build a marketing strategy around that.
Yep. Yeah. So for a small business owner, for especially the circles in which we sort of mosey on around, which are mostly probably service based entrepreneurs, probably smaller businesses, right? Where the book really becomes something that um, establishes you as a thought leader in your area of expertise, right? I think that's really important that we talk about an area of expertise and not just globally, right? How important is it to have that book? What does that book do for you that you might not have access to if you didn't have the book?
Ooh, I love that question. So, not everybody in the world is an author.
Mhm.
It's not exciting to say, I have an Instagram page, because everybody can have an Instagram page, right? It used to be,
Yeah.
oh, are you on Clubhouse? Wow, how'd you get on Clubhouse? I can't
Yeah.
get it yet.
Yeah.
There's no exclusivity, right? There's anybody can have a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
So, but having a book sets you apart,
Mhm.
because not everybody does it.
Yeah.
A lot of people start writing books and never finish, but somebody who has written it, has finished it, published it, that sets you apart, because all of a sudden you're an expert now.
Okay. So it helps you, yeah, and I mean it adds the word author to your long list of cool things that you already are, or hopefully cool list.
And from a marketing perspective, it is just a treasure trove of content to mine from.
Yeah.
And I love that part of it, because I was actually just writing an article for a magazine that I write for, and talking about how your book and your brand marketing are really intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about, like, if you just walk around going, oh, my book, my book, my book, and nobody's gonna care except your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom will care. But if you weave in what your book is about into your overall brand marketing, and then you mention, and this is in my book, that just gives you that extra je ne sais quoi of being, a thought leader, being an authority in your space, because not only do you have all these wonderful tips and provide all this value, but you took the time to write a book, and just having a book It just makes it better.
So what? And Alistair just wrote in from Facebook. Alistair is a friend of mine and was the guest before you on this show, and he says, not everybody has, right. Everybody, we feel that everybody has a book, but not everybody has a book, right? And he's talking about even fewer people than that to have a book have a good book. And I think that's a great comment, Alistair, and thank you for that. And it leads me to my next question, which is so I sometimes feel that people write a book as lip service, like they want that book so they can be the authority. What makes a good book a great book? Or what makes shouldn't say that way. I should say, what makes a great book for a service provider, a small business service provider? Where do you personally see that books are not just good, but actually this is a great book. This is a book I'm going to really be able to market, and people are really actually going to read it.
I think it comes down to the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you write the book? What is your mission? Where are you called to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you're just slapping some blog posts together and calling it a book,
Yeah,
which you can do, and I say slapping, but if you're nicely putting blog posts together
yeah,
and creating a book out of that, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. Congratulations. But if you're really strategic about it, you're really thoughtful about it, you have a higher mission
mm-hmm.
in this book, then that is going to be the difference, because that mission is going to come out in all your marketing and in everything you do.
Yeah.
So for example, my mission, I don't know if you guys can hear all the screaming, so I apologize. I've got two kids running around before school and they're like, ah.
Okay. I don't hear the kids and I hear you fine. So
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So my mission is to help authors amplify their voices online so that they can make this world a better place.
Yeah.
And then I get to make this world a better place in my small way, because
Yeah.
they're doing that, because I'm helping them.
Yeah.
So when I sit down to write my book, which is about book marketing, spoiler alert,
Yeah.
it's why am I writing it? It's because I know I'm going to be able to reach more people
Yeah.
and help more authors or would-be authors get their message out. So ideally, it really starts with your mission. And if you don't know why you do what you do, take a minute and start asking yourself that question and write down the answer. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
You could probably do something else if you don't have a mission. So really think about why you're writing this book and who you want to serve and what transformation you want your reader to get.
Yeah, I think the transformational part is really important. And maybe that answers my next question, because so I've always wanted to be a published book author since I've been a small child. I actually have published a book. I was about 6 or 7 years old. It was maybe 10 pages, and it was about a princess and a prince, and there was some distress and there was some horses, and I illustrated it and wrote it myself. And then with a parental grant, meaning my father's photocopier in his office, we printed it, and then I sold it. I sold it for $1 a piece, which back then, we're talking, oh my God, early 70s. That was not bad.
It's the start of your fortune.
And the book sadly remains out of print since, but I don't even know whether my mother somewhere still has a version of it. But I totally digress. But so for me as a filmmaker, if I was to write a book, I only see two ways about it. One would be to do a sort of a holistic or comprehensive view of why video marketing, and sort of stay on the marketing and content creation side and not go into the practical of it so much.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a way to get into the practical without losing evergreen, because that you want that evergreen status, right? You don't want your book to be outdated before you hit print,
right,
or publish. Or then just do something completely different, right? But then if you do something completely different, something that's, say, super creative, does then a book help you at all in your business, or not really?
Unless we can find a creative way to sort of weave it in, probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably not. But that's not to say that a memoir, I mean, you have such an amazing, interesting background. I mean, you split your time between two continents. So the stories that you tell, the stories that you, yeah, I know, guys, I know a lot about Nina.
You are actually one of my very rare guests that I have physically given a hug to.
Oh, yes, lots of hugs. It was
Yeah.
so, you know, you have such an interesting background that those stories that you would weave in throughout your book, while yes, talking about why video is here to stay, and you know, you should get on the video train,
Hmm.
that you can sort of meld them together, and I don't think it has to be one or the other. But
Yeah.
again, I'm not a book coach. I'm just an avid reader and
Yeah.
a book marketer.
Yeah.
So, but I think that you could easily market something like that.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, it's I actually think that what you do is in the whole process. I mean, yes, the book coach is very important, but I mean, if not for you, then these books never see the day of light, the life of the day of life, life of day,
Light
night
of
of
day.
day. There you
Light
go.
of day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See, that's what happens when you're a multiple language speaker.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm famous for botching proverbs also in German. So
Oh, okay, good. Well, I wouldn't.
it's not even the language thing, it's just a thing.
Well, I was going to say, if you could say any proverb you want in German, I won't understand anyway. So
Yeah,
I'll think you're saying it correctly.
there you go. Yeah, so
It won't see the light of day, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because you're just expecting something to happen. But you,
yeah.
as an author, have to be a marketer as well.
Yes, you do. So let's talk about some hands-on or some well, what would be your sort of your top tip for somebody who, you know, is in the finishing stages of a book or already has the book or is about to e-publish or or go with a regular publisher? What would be your top sort of two or three tips that you would give a person like that?
Sure. All right. First thing, start talking about your book,
Hmm.
but not in the way of, I wrote a book. One of those is okay. Like one of those posts is that's great. Everybody, your second cousin who lives in Timbuktu is gonna see that post, and it's
Yeah,
gonna be wonderful, and everybody's
yeah,
gonna be happy. But it's more about what's inside that counts, right?
yeah,
So start leveraging the content. Start mining the content from your book and putting it out there on social media, putting it out there in your emails. So, and then always have a call to action, which is get my book. I mean, maybe a little more eloquently than that, but it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
if you haven't grabbed a copy of my book, you can get it on Amazon, or
yeah.
click here to get a copy of my book, whatever.
Yep.
Then the second tip that I would give would be to be consistent
Yeah.
with your marketing. And I'm sure that you say this a gazillion times
I hammer
a
that home.
day.
Yeah,
She's got a giant hammer right there. Yeah. Yes. That. Be consistent. I call it the granny panties of marketing because it is so unsexy, but it is so necessary
yeah,
to be consistent with your marketing. Show up and people show up for you.
yeah.
And then the third tip I would give is, that's going to take us off on a bit of a tangent, but to grow your email list, you want to have what's called a lead magnet.
Yeah.
And a lead magnet is a fancy way of saying a free thing that you give to somebody in exchange for their email address.
Yeah.
And I am now going to stand on my soapbox because what I see is that people are, authors are being told, sometimes by publishers, sometimes by whomever, that the best lead magnet that you can have as an author is to give away the first chapter of your book. And that
No,
is
yeah.
so wrong.
Yes, I totally see that. Yeah, yeah.
I was talking with a woman once who was lamenting how she's been on several, high profile TV shows and only sold something like 100 books in over a year.
Yeah.
And I was on her website and I said, it's about messaging. And I said, well, what's your lead magnet? And she said, well, my publisher told me to give away the first chapter of my book. I said, no, I don't want to sound harsh, but don't do that. If somebody's going to want to find out more about you, what are they going to really get from the first chapter of your book?
Yeah.
Nothing. You got to think before the book.
Yeah.
What introduces them to you? What is a quick win, something they can do in 48 hours that's going to show them that, oh, Nina Froriep is the expert on video marketing. I need to read her book, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're going for.
Yeah.
And then this woman said, well, I also gave the table of contents. And I was like, that's even less exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. The table of contents. Thank you very much. I don't even read those when I get a book. I just dive into the book. So all that to say, don't give away the first chapter of your book. Create a lead magnet that is really going to speak to your ideal reader. Get them on board, get them in your ecosystem, and then get them excited about your book and your programs and all the things.
Exactly. So what is your lead magnet?
Oh, well, that was the best segue ever. My lead magnet is available to you, and it's going to be in the comments.
Yes,
it is
I'm hitting the comments right now.
Don't you love how we marketers do that? We just like talk about things and then we make it super obvious.
Yes. And no, I mean, I had it on the ready, but I also have to tell everybody who is on LinkedIn that I'm going to have to put it in manually when we're done with our talk, because somehow LinkedIn is not playing nice with StreamYard today. So I'll put it in after.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And so my lead magnet, which is really a gift for you, it is your ultimate book marketing checklist. And so in it, it's a checklist of the things you want to do to market your book, and some work, a worksheet on creating a lead magnet that is unique to you. So it gives you some suggestions and places to really work that out.
That's great. That's great. How do you, and by the way, so Alistair is still listening. Hey, Alistair. So he actually says, and I was thinking of that when you were saying that about the table of contents. He says, looking at other people's tables of contents is a fantastic way to research for your own book.
Absolutely. But that's not going to, I love that. But, and so you, Alistair, are looking at it like a marketer, right?
Yeah,
and as an author, but somebody who's just, off the street and they're going to read your book, they're not doing research. They're like, what are you sending me a table of contents for? I can see it on Amazon.
I kind of get it, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a sexy lead magnet or anything that gets people, because again, you want to offer not just a book, you're offering. The book is just a delivery mechanism. What you are offering is a transformation and for people to learn something. So, a table of content or the first chapter is not going to do that, right? So
it's probably not your best chapter.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't really give them a quick win of any kind.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, think about how we write. So when you write a book, you use long sentences with lots of clauses and phrases and things like that. And if you write that on LinkedIn, you are going to not get any likes because nobody has time to read that. They're busy scrolling.
Yeah.
So same thing with a lead magnet. People are going to give you a minute to scroll through it. So if you start having these giant chunks of content, they're not going to read it. So, and they're not going to get anything out of it. And it's, yes, you have their email address, but what good is it if they're not engaging?
Yeah, very true. Very true. So Alistair, whose attention we now have, wants to know, what does Melanie's content calendar look like? That's a great question too. And I know Alistair has asked me that question. So I know that's something that is
on his mind.
Totally on his mind. I actually shared mine with him because I do have a pretty awesome content calendar. I'm very proud.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So I go live 3 times a week. I go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On Fridays, I do a live show called Author-ity Marketing Live, where I interview authors. I also usually send out an email on Tuesdays and sometimes on Thursdays. I'm also, when I post or when I do my videos, it goes on all the platforms.
Yeah.
And then I'm just for fun. I'm on Instagram because that's not really where my ideal clients are. So I'm just there because like people, you meet somebody at an event and they're like, "Are you on Instagram?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's talk on Instagram." So
Yeah.
that's my
So,
content calendar.
so talking about video, so you do quite a bit of, you do the live streaming, you do videos. So how do you advise your authors around the whole topic of video?
Okay, well, I love video, but I also say if you're uncomfortable and you're going to come across strangely, then we got to work. We got to work on that, right?
Yeah.
Because, but I believe in live video
Mhm.
because you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's the minute we put it out there, it's over.
Yeah.
Unlike radio, it just where it disappears. Video is here to stay, but still,
Mhm.
you don't have to be perfect. And I say, you can look down at your notes. You can look over there. You can have a kid running past you, or a dog jumping on your lap, or a cat
Mhm.
butt on the screen, which has been one of the funniest things I've seen in COVID.
Yeah.
Cat butts everywhere. But it doesn't, as long as you can get your point across,
Mhm.
then live video is fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, produced video, that is it's a whole other thing. I just actually was working with a client. She has a children's book that is
Mhm.
being published, and she's doing the whole thing herself, like even the publishing,
Yeah.
going the self-publishing route. And we just did a video shoot
Mhm.
on Saturday, and where we're just having all these kids really excited about her book. And
Mhm.
you know, I was basically art directing the shoot, which is
Mhm.
apparently something I can do. So we got all the kids there, and I'm like, okay, Sarah, get in the shoot. You
Mhm.
have to be there too. You're the author. So
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why we're doing this. Yeah.
right. So it's kind of reminding people why they need to be the center of attention. And I think that a lot of authors don't want to be the center of attention. They want their book to be the center of attention. So what I
Or
have
they
to
would
say is,
like to be, but they don't know how, and they're nervous,
yeah.
right?
So what
Yeah.
I say is we're not going to put your book front and center. We're going to put your message front and center. But
Mhm.
you are the person, the face of the brand. You have to be the one to deliver that.
Yeah, yeah, you are the face of the brand. And I mean, and that's I love that you say that, because that's why I work with service providers. Because as a service provider, it's not like we have a bakery or a bike shop or a dog grooming business where we have fun things we can show on our videos, right? So there's not really a product to show if you're a lawyer, or you are a accountant, or you are a insurance broker, or whatever you are in the service world, or business coaches, which is with whom I mostly work, and I guess you do too. We don't have anything visual per se,
Right.
so in the end, we are what goes on camera,
Right.
and people buy from people, and I think that goes for book publishing even more so. I think if I can, especially if it's a nonfiction book. If you think if it's fiction book and there's like a photo of some crappy looking, like a crappy photo of some, person who looks like they could be a mass murderer. I don't care if it's a well written nonfiction, a fiction book. I don't care. But with nonfiction, if I'm going to take someone's advice on something, I want to be connected with that person. I want to know that that person is a real deal, and somebody I can, maybe if I've spent and I think it's like, how do we spend our time? And I'm always super time conscientious. If I'm going to give somebody 10 hours of my life to read their book, I better get massive value out of it, not have wasted my time, and like that person. And the like that person factor is so hugely important. And I think that is where, where video comes in, because people buy from people, whether it is a $10,000 coaching service, a $200, online coaching video thing, or a $12 paperback, right?
It's true.
Doesn't matter.
And how much better, there is no better way to get to know somebody than to watch them in real life, even if it's on a screen. I mean,
Yeah.
this is me. I am wearing pants, but you don't know that.
Ah, I love you. I love you, Melanie. And I do know you're wearing pants because when we were all in Arizona, which is where you live, and we being a group of us, being coached by the same person, we're running around in shorts and tank tops. You showed up in Uggs and a really warm looking sweatsuit. So,
Yes.
and that was very funny. We're like, okay, you're obviously the local.
Yes, when it's 100 degrees in Arizona, I'm still in pants. So
Okay. And so Alistair is saying, and I think we both agree with him 100%, is, every author, expert consultant, you must have great professional photos. And I think that is, I mean, yes, yes, hell yes, and yes. You know, and I think the same goes with video to a certain degree. And I think I like the distinction that you make between live videos and pre-produced videos. And I think they just innately serve a completely different purpose.
yes, absolutely.
And they both have a really important place in the world. And especially if you're marketing a book, I think you really need to have a series of videos that that you can also reuse as your lead magnet, right? Because then the videos become your lead magnet to
Absolutely.
attract people into your orbit.
Mhm.
And I think to do that in a way that makes you come across as the likable expert and the authority in your field, it's just really, really important to have that done reasonably well. Live, as you said, live you can be a lot more casual, but yeah,
Yes. And makeup is optional.
I agree. I agree. So yeah, I mean, I've never used as much lipstick as I have since the pandemic because I normally never use lipstick because it never stays on anyway. I put lipstick on and it's already gone. But on video, it's kind of easier to put lipstick on. Just little detour there. Yeah.
It's so true. I
Yeah.
I didn't start I never like would wake up and put on makeup, and now I do that every single day
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm going to be on video. And
Yeah.
I mean, as it is, I have a light behind me, but I still look like the color of my wall, and I don't know why. But
We can work on that, Melanie.
yeah, I think I need help. But but my ideas are good. And I
No,
show
and you
up
you are
consistently.
fantastic. And again, and that's what I'm saying. In a way, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters and it doesn't matter, right? So if you had a video that you were putting on your website to welcome people in, I'd be like, okay, put some thought behind it. But if you're doing a quick live and you are the same color as the background of your, and it has to do with the temperature of your lights, so we can totally fix that really quickly. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and Alistair has to
So maybe try MAC. MAC
hasn't found
Cosmetics.
a shade of lipstick yet that matches.
Well, MAC Cosmetics, they have men and women working there, so I'm sure that they could help you find the shade that will suit you.
Okay, good. This is MAC.
MAC, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, great. Actually, my lipstick is MAC. Ah. Hey, so Alistair, I'm sure somewhere. Where are you? County Mayo or in Dublin? He's in Ireland.
Oh, I don't
Um,
know. Yeah,
yeah,
they must have it in Europe.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that Europeans are much further down the road of metrosexuals. I think they were called, right. The sort of the very well kept men who don't shy away from products, as opposed to the American jock where you can't even get suntan lotion on them. They rather burn to a crisp than
So
apply anything to their
it's funny.
skin.
I told my husband this. If a man is wearing linen pants or pants that are really, really narrow and potentially rolled up just below his knees, he's from Europe.
Yeah,
He's not from here.
yeah, yeah,
It's true. And I love the, yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
And yeah, and then there's the whole look. Yeah, we're so
we're
completely
digressing.
digressing. Yeah.
Let's go back. Okay.
Let's go back to book marketing. All right, good. So we've covered the we've covered sort of the getting into it, the best tips. So what I'm curious around now is, so what is it that happens with your clients and their books when they start working with you?
Thank you for asking that. So when we start working together, I am their partner. I am their support. And we work through a whole system together, starting with messaging, then moving into social media and lead magnets and email marketing. I help them devise a podcast guesting strategy and marketing around the launch of their book, or if their book already launched, marketing around the next thing. Maybe it's a program, maybe they have an audiobook in the works. So whatever is, and the things that I teach are repeatable. So it's like marketing university. And
so it's more than just marketing that book. It's also a playbook. You give them a playbook that they can apply to any of their future books. Yeah.
Right. Because we're not just saying, okay, let's take this and put it on social media. It's how are we doing it effectively? How can we repurpose your content from one thing to the other to save you time? Because if there's one thing I know, it's that every one of us is really, really busy.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Because normally they're probably also running a business on and this is sort of the marketing side hustle to, get them that extra authority, right? Yeah.
Right.
And yeah.
I was going to say, and it's the brand and the book marketing are not separate. So it just adds to their brand marketing. Now continue.
Right. Which is why you're doing this all to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Great. So it's really a partnership, and it's a learning. So it's not a done for you service. It's actually a done with you service, right?
With you. A lot of people I work with, they have a VA, a virtual assistant already. It's doing things, but maybe they don't know what to tell them to do.
Yeah.
I had a client who had a company posting on her LinkedIn for her.
Yeah.
And when we were scrolling let's scroll LinkedIn and see what you have here. And I was reading the posts out loud to her.
Yeah.
And I was saying, okay, so see how these are all so generic. They don't speak to you at all.
Yeah.
She said, yeah. I said, and do you see how nobody's engaging with them because people just innately know that this isn't you?
Yeah.
She said, yeah. And so when we switched it around and she started to be herself, things changed.
Yeah. And totally signed on the dotted line for sure. What was your most exciting success? I mean, I know you pivoted to author marketing about a year ago, year and a half?
About a year ago.
A year ago.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you're super excited about that was a success in this first year of your pivot?
Oh my gosh. Like all of it. First of all, like I know I'm in my zone of genius because every single time I meet with a client, I am so excited and so energized.
Yeah.
Another thing is that I'm live, so maybe you want to leave. Another thing is, sorry. Another thing is that my client just fully funded a Kickstarter campaign.
Wow.
For her book. And it was not a small amount of money.
Yeah.
And it was using all the marketing techniques that I supported her on.
Oh my God, that's so fantastic.
And now she has the funds to print the book and get it out there.
Yeah.
All because of all the marketing that we did.
Awesome. Congratulations. That must be such a good feeling.
Thank you. And I keep saying, it's all you, it's all you. She's like, no, it's all you. So
well, it's that's what a coach is supposed to be. It's sort of that synergy of setting people on the right, sort of saying like, okay, here and now go, and I have your back. Right. So
exactly. And I like to say, after 6 months, yes, we can keep working together, but I want you to be like a bird and fly from the nest.
Yeah. And again, when the next book comes, then you'll have a repeat client. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Is there anything I did not ask you that I should have, Melanie?
Ooh, that's the best question they taught us in journalism school to ask.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a documentarian, so
exactly.
Not far away from that.
Oh no, I took a documentary class in journalism school, so you are a journalist. Yeah. The only thing is that I think that people get kind of in their own heads, And
Mhm.
they think, well, why would anybody care?
Yeah.
Why does anybody want to hear from me about my book? What
Yeah.
am I? Who am I? But I have to remind you that if you had the gumption to write a book and to
Mhm.
share your experience and to share your mission,
Mhm.
then we as the world, as your ideal reader, we're lucky. So please don't shy away from sharing.
Yeah.
And and if you're having a bad day, that's okay. But go back tomorrow and try again.
And try again. Yeah. And by the way, I say the exact same thing to my clients when they're nervous about showing up on video. So I mean, there's so many parallels between our worlds, right? That because it's the strategy, the content writing, the production part, and then the distribution. And just that the production in your case is a typewriter. I mean,
No, it is
oh
not.
my
It's
God.
typewriter.
I just totally dated myself. A computer, and in my case, it's your smartphone and a tripod, right?
Yes,
So, yeah,
yes, exactly. Typewriter. You're hilarious.
typewriter. I don't know where that came from, Melanie. I really don't. All right, I'm going to put Melanie's checklist, which I haven't done yet, and I'm definitely going to download this. I'm putting it in one more time into the chat. And again, as I said, I'm going to go into LinkedIn and put it there as well. And thank you so much for joining me. I know it's terribly early where you are. So thank you for peeling yourself out of bed and getting ready for this.
Oh, I woke up like this. No.
Of course you did.
Just kidding. You've seen me first thing in the morning and I don't look like this.
This is very similar, though. Let's put it that way. Very recognizable.
Thank
And
you.
guys, if you are thinking about a book, if you have a book and it hasn't really seen the day of light the way you think it should, check out Melanie. I know her personally. She's not only a fabulous professional, she's also just the most delicious person to be with and hang out with. So go for it. That's all I can say. All right, Melanie, thank you so, so much. Alistair, thanks for sticking with us. And that's a connection I've always wanted to make anyway. So I think Alistair and Melanie, you guys should talk. I'll make an introduction.
Allie
All right,
thinks there's
guys.
a shade of lipstick for him.
Yes, and we'll find the right shade lipstick for him. There we go. Excellent. All right. Everybody be well. And I'll be back in 2 weeks already with a new guest. Bye.